The weeks following first contact were a blur for Amy. The Earth government scrambled to establish diplomatic relations with the Viridians. Amy found herself thrust into the center of it all. Despite having no diplomatic training or experience, she was simply the woman who had given her food to an alien prisoner, and somehow changed the course of interstellar relations. Amy sat in her new apartment, provided by the United Earth government. She stared out at the Washington skyline, feeling overwhelmed by how quickly her life had changed. A month ago, she had been a museum curator specializing in ancient artifacts. Now she was being called the face of first contact. Her communication device chimed. She tapped the bracelet the matriarch had given her. In a holographic display appeared Ambassador Collins. The face of an aide appeared in the projection. The Viridian delegation has arrived. They are requesting your presence. Amy sighed. She still wasn't used to being called ambassador. It was a title given to her more for symbolic reasons than any actual diplomatic skill. "He'll be right there," she said. The meeting was held in the newly constructed Interstellar Relations Building, a structure that had been built in record time to accommodate the alien visitors. Amy entered the conference room to find a group of Viridians already seated. Their silvery skin gleamed under the artificial lights. The lead Viridian stood. Her name was Nyla, and she was the matriarch's personal envoy. The four-armed alien bowed deeply when she saw Amy. The bracelet on Amy's wrist glowed slightly in response. "Friend of the matriarch," Nyla said in her musical voice. "We bring news from the home world." The human delegates looked at Amy expectantly. She had somehow become the unofficial bridge between species. "Please share your news, Nyla," she said, trying to sound confident. "The council has deliberated," Nyla announced. "The matriarch has convinced them of the unique value of humanity. A formal alliance is being offered: technological exchange, cultural sharing, mutual defense. All of this because of your kindness." The human delegates murmured excitedly. Amy felt a weight on her shoulders. These developments seemed so disproportionate to her simple act. After the meeting, Admiral Moss pulled Amy aside. "You look troubled," the Admiral said. Amy sighed. "I gave someone food. It was a basic human decency. Nothing more. I don't understand why it matters so much to them." Admiral Moss smiled slightly. "You still don't get it, do you? The Viridians have conquered dozens of worlds. Their entire society is built on the idea that stronger species have the right to take from weaker ones. You showed them an entirely different paradigm. But surely other species must have shown kindness," Amy protested. The Admiral shook her head. "According to our talks with the delegation, the Viridians have never encountered a species that would share resources with an enemy during wartime. It's completely outside their experience. You changed their understanding of what intelligence can be." Later that evening, Amy was walking through the gardens of the diplomatic compound when she noticed a Viridian watching her. It was smaller than the others, and its skin had a bluish tint rather than silver. "You are the one called Amy Collins," the alien said, approaching. Its voice was higher pitched than the others, suggesting it might be younger. "Yes," Amy replied. "Who are you?" "I am Talia, child of Nyla. I wish to see the human who changed." The matriarch's mind to me smiled. "It's nice to meet you, Talia. Would you like to walk with me?" The young Viridian fell into step beside her. "I have studied your action giving food to the matriarch. My mother says it shows the true nature of humans," Amy considered. "This I don't know about, that many humans might not have done what I did." Talia tilted her head, her galaxy eyes curious. "Why did you do it then?" Amy thought for a moment. Because she looked hungry. She said simply, "And I had food. It didn't seem right that I should eat while she went without." Talia was quiet for a long moment, then she said, "You must understand, in our culture, resources are never given freely. They are earned or taken. There is no concept of sharing with those who have not proven their worth, especially not with potential enemies." Amy frowned. "That sounds like a difficult way to live." "It is efficient," the young Viridian replied, "but perhaps not always correct. The matriarch says your way has advantages we had not considered." They walked in silence for a while before Talia spoke again. "My mother says I am to be your cultural liaison. I will help you understand our ways. and learn yours. Amy smiled. That sounds wonderful. The next morning, Amy was summoned to an urgent meeting. Admiral Moss looked grim. We've received a communication from another alien fleet, she announced. They call themselves the Krell. They claim the Viridians have encroached on their territory. They demand we turn over all Viridian representatives immediately. The room erupted in concerned discussion. Amy looked at Nyla, whose silver skin had paled visibly. The Krell are our ancient enemies, Nyla explained. They have fought us for dominance for thousands of years. They will see any alliance with humans as a threat, Admiral. Moss turned to Amy. What do you think? Ambassador Amy blinked, surprised to be asked her opinion. I think we need more information. Who are these Krell? What do they want, and why would they care about our relationship with the Viridians? Good start, Moss nodded. We also need to consider our position. Earth is new to interstellar politics. We're potentially being drawn into a conflict that predates our civilization. Nyla stepped forward. I must contact the matriarch immediately. This development is concerning. The meeting adjourned with plans to reconvene once they had more information. Amy found herself walking with Talia. Again, your admiral is wise, the young Viridian said. The Krell are dangerous. They do not believe in alliances, only subjugation. Amy frowned. How many advanced species are out there? Many, Talia replied. Some peaceful, some warlike, most somewhere in between. The galaxy is old. Amy Collins, and filled with ancient rivalries. Later that day, a communication came directly from Matriarch, Elentari herself. Her holographic image stood in the center of the conference room, her forearms moving in complex patterns as she spoke. The Krell arrival is no coincidence, she said. They have been watching my fleet for some time. They fear what an alliance between humans and Viridians might mean. Admiral Moss stepped forward. What exactly do they want? The matriarch turned her galaxy eyes to the admiral. They want what they always want. Power control resources. They will attempt to turn you. Against us, they will offer you technologies, promises of protection, but know this. Any agreement with the Krell ends in servitude, Amy spoke up. What should we do? The matriarch looked at her with something like fondness. That is for Earth to decide. But I would counsel caution. The Krell are masters of manipulation. They will seek to divide us after the communication ended. Admiral Moss turned to the assembled human delegates. We need to prepare for the Krell arrival. Their ship will be here within hours. A senior diplomat raised his hand. The Viridians are clearly biased. We should hear the Krell out before making any judgments. Amy felt a sense of unease growing inside her. The situation was escalating beyond anything she was prepared for. She looked down at the bracelet on her wrist. It glowed with a soft pulse, almost like a heartbeat. Talia approached her as the meeting broke up. You seem troubled. Friend of the matriarch, Amy nodded. I feel like I'm in way over my head. All I did was share my food now. I'm somehow involved in interstellar politics. Talia put one of her 4 hands on Amy's shoulder. Small actions can have great consequences. This is the way of the universe. Hours later, Amy stood with Earth delegates as the Krell ship docked. The first glimpse of the new aliens sent a chill down her spine. Unlike the silvery, elegant Viridians, the Krell were massive armored creatures. Their bodies were covered in what looked like natural plating in deep red and black. Their eyes were small and set deep in their skull-like faces. The lead Krell stomped forward, towering over the human delegation. Its voice came through a translation device, harsh and grating. I am Commander Draz of the Krell Dominion. We come with warning. The Viridians are deceivers. They seek to use you as pawns in our ancient conflict. Admiral Moss stepped forward. Commander Draz, welcome to Earth. We are interested in hearing your perspective. The Krell commander fixed his small eyes on the admiral. These Viridians have destroyed dozens of developing civilizations, harvesting them for resources. They would have done the same to you. Had something not interfered with their plans, Amy felt all eyes turn to her. She straightened her back and met the Krell commander's gaze. Is that not also the way of the Krell? She asked. The Krell commander seemed startled by her direct question. The Krell commander growled, "Who is this that speaks so boldly?" "Amy Collins," she replied, "friend of matriarch Elentari." The Krell made a harsh sound that might have been laughter. "Friend, no one is friend to the Viridians. They have no concept of friendship, only usefulness." Amy held up her wrist, showing the glowing bracelet. "The matriarch gave me this as a symbol of protection and friendship." The Krell commander studied the bracelet, his small eyes widening. "Impossible," he muttered. "That is a royal protection sigil. It has never been given to a non-Viridian admiral." Moss interjected. "Perhaps we should continue this discussion. More formally, Commander. We have prepared accommodations for your delegation." As the Krell were led away, Talia hurried to Amy's side. "Something is wrong," she whispered. "The Krell never come in peace. They are planning something." Amy looked at the young Viridian. What could they want? Talia shook her head. "I do not know, but the timing of their arrival so soon after our alliance began cannot be coincidence." Amy Collins stared at the alien woman through the shimmering force field that separated their cells. The prisoner was hunched in the corner, her silvery skin dulled with exhaustion and what looked like hunger, her 4 arms wrapped protectively around her torso while her large almond-shaped eyes, the color of distant galaxies, remained fixed on the floor. 3 days had passed since the Viridian ship had been captured by Earth forces. Amy and several other civilians had been unfortunate enough to be visiting the military research station when the aliens attacked. Now they were prisoners aboard their own vessel, which the aliens had commandeered before Earth forces recaptured. Amy watched as the guards brought food trays. She received her standard ration, a nutrient-dense protein bar and some hydration fluid. Meanwhile, the alien woman received nothing. Amy noticed this happened daily. The guards barely glanced at the alien prisoner, their scaled faces showing what Amy could only interpret as disgust. The tallest guard spoke in their clicking language, and the others laughed, a harsh sound that made Amy wince. Something about the alien woman called to Amy. Perhaps it was the way she held herself with dignity despite her circumstances. Perhaps it was simply that Amy understood what it meant to be alone in a hostile place. She waited until the guards left, then moved closer to the force field. The alien woman finally looked up, those galaxy eyes widening slightly. Amy held up her meal bar, then carefully slid it under the thin gap at the bottom of the force field where cleaning drones normally passed. The alien woman stared at the offering for a long moment. Then, with movements so graceful they seemed almost liquid, she reached forward with one of her forearms and took the bar. Her fingers were long with an extra joint and tipped with what looked like small crystalline structures. Amy smiled and nodded encouragingly. The alien examined the bar, then met Amy's gaze again. Slowly, almost reverently, she bowed her head. When the guards returned later, they found their alien prisoner eating the human food. Their reaction was immediate. Weapons were drawn. Shouts filled the corridor. But then something unexpected happened. The alien woman rose to her full impressive height, at least 7 feet tall. She spoke for the first time since her capture. Her voice was melodic with undertones that seemed to vibrate in Amy's chest rather than her ears. She gestured toward Amy repeatedly. The guards lowered their weapons. Their postures changed from aggressive to something Amy could only describe as deferential. The tallest one actually backed away slightly. The next day, everything changed. A new guard arrived at Amy's cell. This one wore decorative armor that shimmered with embedded technology. He deactivated the force field and spoke in heavily accented English. "The matriarch wishes to speak with you," he said. Amy was led through corridors she'd never seen before. The ship was massive and clearly designed by minds with different conceptions of space and function. Finally, they reached what appeared to be a command center. The alien woman stood there, but transformed. Gone was the hunched posture and dull skin. She gleamed like polished metal, her forearms adorned with intricate technological bracelets. Around her neck was a collar of light that pulsed in rhythm with her breathing. "She is Supreme Matriarch Elentari of the Viridian Collective," the guard explained. "Her battle cruiser, was separated from the fleet during the dimensional jump. Your act of kindness has greatly honored us." Amy stared in confusion. But all I did was, the matriarch approached Amy, and the room fell silent. She reached out with her upper right hand and gently touched Amy's shoulder. "Among my people," she said, her voice now translated perfectly, "to share food with an enemy is to offer peace with your entire lineage. You gave me your only meal when you yourself must have been hungry. This is the highest form of respect." The alien guards in the room all bowed deeply. "I had no idea," Amy whispered. The matriarch smiled. At least Amy interpreted the slight lifting of her metallic lips as a smile. "Our intelligence suggested humans were violent, selfish creatures, but you have shown otherwise. A single act of compassion has revealed more truth than 1,000 intelligence reports." She gestured, and a holographic display appeared, showing Earth under attack by the Viridian fleet. "I came to your planet seeking resources and conquest," the matriarch explained. "We believed humans were unworthy of respect, but you have proven this assessment incorrect." With a wave of her hand, the hologram changed, showing the Viridian ships retreating. "I have ordered our forces to withdraw from your system." The matriarch said, "I will return to our council and speak of what I have learned here. Perhaps there is much our peoples could share. Besides food." Amy struggled to comprehend what was happening. "Did you say you came seeking conquest?" "Indeed," the matriarch nodded. Her movements were fluid, like water flowing. "My fleet was dispatched to claim this solar system for resources. We detected your technology level and determined your species to be primitive enough to safely harvest." Amy felt a chill run down her spine. "Harvest?" The matriarch continued, seemingly unaware of the horror her words caused. "We have done this many times before. Finding developing worlds, taking what we need. But we have never encountered a species like yours, one that would show kindness to an enemy commander." She turned to Amy, her galaxy eyes intense. "That is why I must return to the council. They must know that humans are different. Your compassion changed everything." The guard who had escorted Amy stepped forward. "Supreme Matriarch," he said in their clicking language, which Amy could somehow now understand. "The human delegation awaits." Amy looked around, confused. Human delegation. Another door slid open, and a group of people in military uniforms entered, led by a stern-faced woman with short gray hair and the insignia of an admiral on her shoulder. "Admiral Kate Moss, Earth Defense Force." The woman introduced herself, her eyes flicking between Amy and the towering matriarch. "I see you two have met." The matriarch inclined her head. "This human," she indicated, "Amy, has granted your species a great honor. She has shown the true nature of humanity through a simple act of kindness. Because of her, I have ordered our fleet to withdraw." The admiral looked at Amy with new interest, a civilian. "Yes," Amy said, finding her voice, "I was just visiting the research station when the Viridians attacked. Admiral Moss finished for her, and now you've somehow convinced their commander to retreat. With what protein?" Amy felt her face grow hot. With respect, it was more about the gesture than the food itself. The matriarch stepped between them, her towering form casting a shadow over the admiral. "I will be returning to our homeworld to speak with our council. But know this, Admiral. Your species was marked for harvesting, but this human," she gestured to Amy, "has demonstrated that you are more than resources. You are worthy of respect. Perhaps even alliance." Admiral Moss seemed to weigh this information carefully. "And what exactly does that mean for Earth?" "It means," the matriarch said, "that I leave behind a delegation to begin formal communications between our peoples. It means that instead of conquest, we offer knowledge exchange. It means Amy Collins will be remembered in Viridian history as the one who changed our path." Amy felt dizzy. The weight of what was happening threatened to overwhelm her. She was just a regular person. She had only done what seemed right at the moment. The admiral turned to Amy. "With newfound respect, it seems we owe you a great deal." "Ms. Collins," Amy shook her head. "I just gave her my food. Anyone would have done the same." The matriarch made a sound like chiming bells, which Amy realized was laughter. "No. Amy Collins. Not anyone. Many of your own species passed my cell. Many saw my hunger. None offered assistance. Only you. The meeting continued for hours, as the details of first contact protocols were established. Amy sat through it all, still trying to process how her small act of kindness had altered the course of human history. When it was over, the matriarch requested a private moment with her. When they were alone, the alien leader removed one of her bracelets and offered it to Amy. "This is a symbol of protection in Viridian culture," she explained. "It marks you as a friend of the matriarch. Wear it, and any of my people will recognize you as honored." Amy accepted the gift. The bracelet was surprisingly light and seemed to adjust itself to fit her wrist perfectly. "Thank you," she said. "But I still don't understand why my giving you food meant so much." The matriarch looked at her with those endless galaxy eyes. "In the history of our conquests, no species has ever shown compassion to a captured enemy. It is unprecedented. You have shown us something new about the universe, Amy Collins. That is a gift beyond measure." As Amy was escorted back to the human section of the ship, she looked down at the alien bracelet on her wrist. Somehow she knew that her life would never be the same. Amy backed away from the door, her heart pounding in her chest. The crashing sound came again, followed by the splintering of wood. She looked around for a weapon but found nothing more threatening than a vase. The door burst open, revealing a massive Krell warrior. Its armored body barely fit through the doorframe. Its small eyes fixed on Amy with predatory focus. Before Amy could scream, a silver blur shot through the window. Nyla, the Viridian ambassador, landed gracefully between Amy and the Krell. Her forearms moved in perfect coordination, producing a weapon that glowed with blue energy. "Stand down, Krell." Nyla commanded, her musical voice now hard and cold. "This human is under royal protection." The Krell made a guttural sound. "Ambassador Nyla, I might have known you'd be here. This does not concern you." "Our business is with the human." Amy found her voice. "What business? I've done nothing to the Krell." The Krell warrior shifted its massive body. "You have interfered with the natural order. Human, your influence on the matriarch threatens the balance of power." More Viridian guards appeared at the broken door surrounding the Krell. The standoff lasted several tense seconds before the Krell lowered its weapon. "This isn't over," it growled. The Krell warrior backed away slowly, then turned and fled with surprising speed for something so large. Nyla turned to Amy, her galaxy eyes filled with concern. "You must come with us. The Krell will try again." Amy found herself being escorted to the Viridian embassy, a gleaming structure that seemed to be made of living metal that pulsed with soft light. She was led to a secure room deep within the building. Talia was waiting there. The young Viridian rushed forward. "Are you harmed?" she asked. Examining Amy with genuine concern, Fine, Amy assured her. "Just shaken." "What was that about? Why would the Krell want to hurt me?" Nyla entered the room. "You represent something dangerous to them," she explained. "You changed the matriarch's mind about humanity, which means you might change other Viridians' minds, and that threatens the Krell's understanding of how species interact." Talia nodded. The Krell and Viridians have been locked in conflict for thousands of years. Both believed in the right of the strong to dominate the weak. But now the matriarch questions this because of you. Amy sank into a chair designed for Viridian anatomy, making it somewhat uncomfortable for her human form. "So the Krell think that by eliminating me they can prevent this new way of thinking from spreading." "Exactly," Nyla said, sitting across from her. "The matriarch has been informed of the attempt. She is most displeased. She has ordered additional security for you and has requested a direct meeting with Earth leadership. Regarding the Krell threat, Amy spent the night in the Viridian embassy. The next morning, Admiral Moss arrived looking grim. "The Krell are denying any involvement in the attack," she said. "They claim it was a rogue element not acting on official orders." Nyla made a sound like tinkling glass. "Convenient," she said. Her tone made it clear she didn't believe the Krell explanation for a moment. Admiral Moss turned to Amy, Ambassador Collins. "How are you holding up?" Amy gave a weak smile. "Been better, but am alive, thanks to Nyla." The Admiral nodded. "I have news. The matriarch herself is coming to Earth. She feels the situation warrants her personal attention." Amy felt a mix of emotions at this news. Part of her was honored that the matriarch would come because of her. Another part felt the weight of responsibility growing even heavier. The Krell will see this as an escalation. Nyla warned. I know Admiral Moss agreed. But we can't refuse a visit from the Viridian leader, and frankly, we could use her insight. On handling the Krell 3 days later, Amy stood with Earth officials at the landing pad as the matriarch's ship descended from the sky. It was unlike the other Viridian vessels Amy had seen, smaller, more elegant. It seemed to flow rather than fly, changing shape slightly as it moved. When the ship landed, the matriarch emerged, surrounded by guards. Her silvery skin gleamed in the sunlight, her 4 arms adorned with even more intricate technology than Amy remembered. Her galaxy eyes immediately found Amy in the crowd, and she smiled. Friend Amy Collins, the matriarch said, her voice carrying easily across the distance. I come in friendship and concern. Admiral Moss stepped forward. Supreme Matriarch Ellen Terry. Earth welcomes you. The formalities were brief. The matriarch seemed eager to speak with Amy privately. Once they were alone in a secure room, the tall alien embraced Amy gently with all 4 arms. I am distressed by the attempt on your life. The matriarch said, You have become important to our people, Amy Collins. More than you know. Amy struggled to find words. I've been trying to understand why. My giving you food has somehow become the center of interstellar politics. The matriarch considered her with those endless eyes. What you must understand is that your act came at a crucial moment. I had begun to question our ways of conquest, our harvesting of developing worlds. But I had no alternative model. Then you showed kindness to an enemy with no expectation of return. This was revolutionary. To me, she paused, moving to look out the window at the Earth skyline. For thousands of years, our species has believed that the universe operates on principles of dominance and submission. The strong take, the weak serve. But your act suggested another possibility: cooperation without coercion, sharing without requirement, respect without power. This threatens not only the Krell but the foundation of Viridian society as well. Amy felt overwhelmed. So what happens now? The matriarch turned back to her. Now we forge a new path. Together, humans and Viridians. But we must be cautious. The Krell will not accept this easily, nor will all Viridians. The meeting with Earth leadership that followed was tense. The Krell representatives denied any official involvement in the assassination attempt, but their small eyes betrayed their deception. The matriarch proposed a formal alliance between Earth and the Viridian Collective, offering protection from the Krell and technological exchange. After hours of discussion, a preliminary agreement was reached. Earth would enter into a probationary alliance with the Viridians. A cultural exchange program would begin immediately, and a joint defense strategy would be developed against potential Krell aggression. Amy found herself named as the official human ambassador to the Viridians despite her protests that she had no diplomatic training. The matriarch dismissed these concerns. You understand our people better than any human, she said. And more importantly, we understand you. That evening, Amy met with Talia in the embassy gardens. The young Viridian seemed troubled. What is it? Amy asked. Talia hesitated. Something my mother told me. There is division among our people. The matriarch's new direction is not universally accepted. Some believe she has been corrupted by her contact with humans. Amy frowned. That doesn't sound good. It is not. Talia agreed. Some say she has betrayed our ways. They believe the old path of conquest is our right and destiny. What does that mean? For the alliance, Amy asked. Talia looked at her with serious eyes. It means you are still in danger. Not only from the Krell, but potentially from my own people as well. The next morning, Amy was summoned to an emergency meeting. The Krell ship had left Earth's orbit during the night without notification or explanation. They're up to something. Admiral Moss said, her face grim. Our long-range sensors detected them heading toward the edge of our solar system, but we lost track of them near Jupiter. Matriarch looked concerned. This is troubling. They would not leave without purpose before anyone could respond, and aid rushed in. Admiral, urgent message from Jupiter Station. They're under attack. The room fell silent for a moment before erupting into action. Admiral Moss activated a holographic display showing Jupiter and its moons. A massive battle was unfolding around Jupiter's largest moon. Ganymede, the Krell are attacking our research outpost, the Admiral explained. We've got 300 scientists and support staff stationed there. The matriarch stepped forward. Without hesitation, I offer my ship to assist in defense. Amy watched as plans were quickly formulated. The matriarch would take her vessel to Jupiter along with Earth defense ships. They would attempt to rescue the outpost personnel and drive off the Krell attack. I want to come, Amy said, surprising everyone, including herself. The matriarch looked at her with concern. This will be dangerous, Amy Collins, I know. Amy replied. But I'm supposed to be an ambassador, right? I should see this firsthand. Admiral Moss looked like she wanted to object, but the matriarch raised a hand. I believe Ambassador Collins should join us. Her perspective may be valuable. The journey to Jupiter took less time than Amy expected. The matriarch ship moved through space in ways that defied human understanding, bending distance somehow. The matriarch explained that Viridian ships used dimensional folding technology, making them far faster than conventional propulsion. As they approached Jupiter's system, they could see the battle. The Krell ship, massive and bristling with weapons, was firing on the human outpost. The small Earth defense vessels looked pitifully outmatched. Commander, the officer at Tactical Station, reported, The Krell have breached the outpost's main dome. Life support is failing. They have maybe 20 minutes of air remaining. The matriarch stood, her forearms moving in complex patterns as she issued commands. Target their weapon systems. She ordered prepared dimensional disruptors. Amy watched in awe as the Viridian ship engaged the much larger Krell vessel. The matriarch's ship moved with impossible grace, evading the Krell weapons while firing precise shots that disabled rather than destroyed. The return journey to Earth was tense. The rescued scientists and personnel from Jupiter Station were shaken. Many injured. The matriarch's medical team worked alongside human doctors, combining their knowledge to treat wounds unlike anything Earth medicine had encountered before. Amy spent time among the rescued personnel, listening to their stories of the attack, learning what she could. One scientist, an older woman named Beth, stood out. She had been studying Jovian atmospheric patterns when the attack came. They targeted our communication systems first. Beth explained, her hand still trembling slightly. Then they breached the dome. They were looking for something specific. Went straight to the xenobiology lab. Amy frowned. Why would the Krell care about Jupiter's xenobiology? Beth shrugged. We were studying microscopic life forms found in Europa's subsurface ocean. Nothing that seemed particularly valuable. Amy made a mental note to mention this to the matriarch. The attack seemed too targeted to be merely a show of force. When they reached Earth orbit, Admiral Moss was waiting with grave news. The Krell have sent a message to all Earth governments. She said they claimed the Viridians plan to harvest Earth, just as they have dozens of other worlds. They say the matriarch is deceiving us, that the alliance is merely a trap to lower our defenses. The matriarch received this news with surprising calm. They play their expected part. She said sowing distrust is their specialty, but what troubles me more is their specific targeting of the research station. What were they seeking? Admiral Moss looked surprised that they were seeking anything specific. I assumed it was simply an attack of opportunity. No. The matriarch shook her, head, forearmed hands moving in what Amy now recognized as a gesture of certainty. The Krell are methodical. They do nothing without purpose. Amy shared what Beth had told her about the targeting of the xenobiology lab. The matriarch and Admiral exchanged concerned glances. Europa Moss said slowly, that might be significant. A few months ago, our researchers discovered microbial life in Europa's subsurface ocean. The first confirmed extraterrestrial life found in our solar system. It was considered a major breakthrough. The matriarch's galaxy eyes widened. Show me these findings immediately. Within hours, they were in a secure facility reviewing the Europa research. The matriarch studied the data with intense focus, occasionally muttering in her own language. As she reviewed the final report, she stepped back, her silvery skin pulsing with what Amy had come to recognize as Agitation. This life form, she said, pointing to microscopic images. It is not natural to your system, Admiral. Moss frowned. What, do you mean it is a biomarker? The matriarch explained. A created organism designed to prepare environments for colonization. We have encountered it before in systems the Krell have seeded for future harvesting. The implications hung heavy in the room. The Krell had already marked our system for colonization, Amy said slowly. They attacked the station to eliminate evidence they had been preparing to harvest us first. The matriarch nodded. Just as they accuse us of planning, Admiral Moss looked grim. So both your species see developing worlds as resources to be harvested. The matriarch turned her galaxy eyes to the Admiral. As I have said, our ways have been similar, but now I see another path, and that terrifies the Krell. For if the Viridians can change, perhaps others might question the order of power as well. The situation grew more complex in the days that followed. The Krell's message had created division among Earth's nations. Some governments wished to break ties with the Viridians, believing the Krell warnings. Others saw the Jupiter attack as proof the Krell were the greater threat. Amy found herself at the center of diplomatic efforts trying to maintain unity. Talia remained by her side, becoming not just a cultural liaison, but a friend. The young Viridian had a curiosity about humans that seemed endless. They were walking through a park in Washington when Talia asked a question that caught Amy off guard. Why do humans create art? Amy looked at her puzzled. What do you mean? Talia gestured to a sculpture nearby. Your species spends considerable resources creating objects with no practical function, representations of things or abstract forms. Why? Amy smiled, considering the question. Art helps us process our emotions. I suppose express things we can't always put into words, connect with each other through shared experience. Talia tilted her head. Viridians create objects for status or function, not for emotional processing. This is fascinating. Their conversation was interrupted by Amy's communication device. Admiral Moss was calling. Ambassador Collins, we have a situation, the Admiral said, her voice tight. The Krell have sent a new diplomatic envoy. They claim to have proof of Viridian deception. They want to present it directly to Earth leadership, without Viridian presence. Amy sighed. This was getting complicated. I'll be right there, she told the Admiral. The meeting was held in a neutral facility with heightened security. The Krell envoy was smaller than Commander Draz, but no less intimidating. His armored skin was a deeper shade of red, indicating greater age according to what Amy had learned about Krell physiology. The envoy did not waste time on pleasantries. Humans of Earth, I bring evidence of Viridian duplicity. He activated a device that projected images into the center of the room. What appeared were recordings from various planets, worlds with developing civilizations being systematically stripped of resources by Viridian ships. The final images showed the matriarch's own vessel leading such an operation. These are from the Proxima system. Just 2 of your Earth years ago, the Krell envoy said, the same matriarch who now offers you friendship led the harvesting of a developing world. Amy felt sick as she watched. The images were difficult to deny. The matriarch has spoken of your kindness changing her. The Krell continued. But can a lifetime of conquest truly be undone by one simple act? We think not. The Viridians mean to gain your trust, then harvest your world just as they have countless others. Admiral Moss looked at Amy. The images appear authentic. Our analysts can't detect any manipulation. Amy felt torn. The evidence was compelling, yet she had come to trust the matriarch. How to reconcile these contradictions? I request time to discuss this with the matriarch, she said. Finally, the Krell envoy made a dismissive gesture. Of course you would defend them. You are compromised, Ambassador. The Viridians have manipulated you from the beginning. Amy stood her ground. Nevertheless, I will speak with her before Earth makes any decisions. The meeting with the matriarch was tense. Amy showed her the Krell evidence without comment, watching her reaction carefully. The matriarch did not deny. Those images are accurate, she said, her voice subdued. This was my ship, my command. The operation at Proxima was indeed conducted under my authority. Amy felt disappointment wash over her. So everything the Krell said is true. The matriarch looked at her with those endless galaxy eyes. What I have told you is also true, Amy Collins. Your act of kindness did change me, but change does not erase the past. I have been a conqueror. I have led harvesting operations. I have taken resources from worlds, unable to defend themselves. This is our way. It was our way. She moved to the window looking out at the Earth skyline. But even before I met you, I had begun to question. I had seen too many worlds stripped, too many species destroyed in the name of Viridian prosperity. There must be another way, I thought. But I had no model, no alternative until you, Amy, searched the matriarch's face for deception but found none. What about Earth, she asked. Were you sent to harvest us? Yes, the matriarch admitted. That was my original mission. To assess Earth's defenses and resources and prepare for harvesting operations, Admiral Moss, who had been silent until now, spoke up. And now I reject that mission. The matriarch said firmly, that is why I ordered my fleet to withdraw. That is why I have proposed alliance instead of conquest. That is why the Krell and even some of my own people now consider me a threat. I am challenging the very foundation of how our civilizations have operated for millennia, Amy. Felt torn between trust and caution. Then why not tell us this from the beginning? Why hide your past? The matriarch lowered all four of her arms in a gesture of submission. Would you have trusted me if I had introduced myself as a conqueror who had destroyed dozens of civilizations? I thought it better to show you what we could become, rather than confess what we had been. Admiral Moss looked skeptical. And we should trust you now because I could have taken your world already, the matriarch said simply. My fleet was in position. Your defenses were inadequate. Instead, I withdrew. I offered alliance. I shared technology. I defended your outpost against the Krell. These are not the actions of one who means to conquer. The Admiral and Amy exchanged glances. I need to consult with Earth leadership, Admiral Moss said finally. This complicates matters. After the Admiral left, Amy remained with the matriarch. The silence between them was heavy. You must feel betrayed, the matriarch said finally. Amy sighed. I'm not sure what I feel. The Krell said you couldn't change that one act of kindness, couldn't undo a lifetime of conquest. The matriarch considered this. Perhaps they are right. Change is not instant, it is a process, but it must begin somewhere. Amy Collins. For me it began with you. Amy thought about this. Is that why the Krell tried to kill me? To stop this change, yes. The matriarch nodded. If they eliminate you, they believe they can stop the spread of this new idea, return things to the predictable pattern of dominance and submission that has defined our interactions for thousands of years. What will you do if Earth rejects the alliance? Amy asked. The plan was desperate, perhaps foolish. But as the combined Krell and Rebel Viridian fleet approached Earth, they had few options left. The matriarch's loyal forces were outnumbered. Earth defenses, while bolstered by Viridian technology, were still inadequate against such an overwhelming force. Amy stood on the bridge of the matriarch's ship. Her heart pounded, but her resolve was firm. Talia stood beside her, the young Viridian looking both terrified and proud. The enemy fleet will be within weapons range in 20 minutes, the tactical officer reported. The matriarch turned to Amy. Are you certain about this, Amy Collins? This is not your battle. Amy met those galaxy eyes with determination. It became my battle the moment I gave you that protein bar, and it's not just my battle. It's humanity's. Admiral Moss, who had insisted on joining them, spoke up. The UN Security Council has given Ambassador Collins full authority to negotiate on behalf of Earth. Though I still think this is madness, the matriarch made a sound like chiming bells. What is that human saying? The definition of madness is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. Perhaps it is time for a new approach. They had decided on a risky strategy. Amy would broadcast directly to the rebel Viridian ships, attempting to reach those who might be wavering in their resolve. Simultaneously, the matriarch would address her people, reminding them of their shared history and the possibility of a new path open, a channel To the combined fleet, the matriarch ordered. The communications officer worked his console. This is unusual. He said they appear to be experiencing some kind of internal disagreement. The Krell and Viridian ships are no longer in perfect formation. The matriarch and Admiral Moss exchanged glances. Perhaps they are not as united as they appear. Moss suggested. The matriarch nodded. It is possible. The alliance between Krell and rebel Viridians would be one of convenience, not true alignment. A channel is open, the officer announced. Your message will be transmitted to all ships in the approaching fleet. Amy took a deep breath and stepped forward, the bracelet on her wrist glowing brightly. She had rehearsed what she would say, but now, in the moment, she decided to speak from the heart. My name is Amy Collins, she began. I am a human from Earth. Some of you know me as the one who gave food to your matriarch when she was a prisoner. This simple act has somehow brought us to this moment, to the edge of war. She paused, letting her words sink in. I am not a diplomat or a warrior. I was just a person who saw another person hungry and shared what I had. But that small act has revealed something important. Something that challenges how both Viridians and Krell have seen the universe. The tactical display showed the enemy fleet slowing slightly. There is another way, Amy continued. Besides conquest and submission, besides taking and being taken, there is sharing, there is cooperation, there is mutual respect. These are not signs of weakness, they are a different kind of strength. Some of the rebel Viridian ships had broken formation, now moving slightly away from the Krell vessels. For thousands of years, your peoples have believed that power is the only law of the universe, that the strong have the right to take from the weak. But what if that isn't true? What if there is greater power in connection than in dominance? What if we can all thrive without harvesting each other? The main Krell ship suddenly accelerated, breaking from the group. Commander Draz's voice came through the communication system. Enough of this human deception, he growled. Viridian ships fall in line. We attack now. But the rebel Viridian ships did not respond. Instead, they remained in position, several of them moving closer to the matriarch's vessel. Amy continued. The matriarch changed because she experienced something new, something outside your normal understanding. But she is not alone in this capacity for change. You too can choose a different path. The largest rebel Viridian ship suddenly broke formation completely. It moved to position itself between the Krell ships and Earth. A clear statement of changed allegiance. Commander Draz roared with fury. Traitors, all of you. The Krell will remember this betrayal. One by one, other rebel Viridian ships followed suit, abandoning their alliance with the Krell. Soon only a handful remained with the Krell fleet. The matriarch stepped forward, now addressing her people. My children, she said, her voice resonating with emotion. I do not ask you to forget our ways or abandon our strength. I ask only that you consider there may be more than one kind of strength. More than one path to prosperity. I have seen it. I have felt it, and now I offer you the chance to explore this new possibility with me. The Krell ships began to power up their weapons systems. They mean to attack, Admiral Moss warned. The matriarch nodded calmly. Defensive positions. Protect Earth at all costs. But before the Krell could fire, the remaining rebel Viridian ships also broke formation, placing themselves in defensive positions. They would not attack Earth, but neither would they allow the Krell to do so. Commander Draz's face appeared again on the communication screen, his small eyes burning with rage. This changes nothing, he snarled. The Krell do not need Viridian traitors to accomplish our goals. We will return, and when we do, we will remember those who stood against us. The Krell ships turned, slowly, and began to move away from Earth, their engines flaring as they accelerated. Did we just win? Talia asked, sounding bewildered. The matriarch placed one of her hands on the young Viridian's shoulder. We have won a reprieve, not a final victory. The Krell will return, and there are many among my people who still doubt this new path. But it is a beginning. In the days that followed, a new alliance was formalized, not just between Earth and the matriarch's loyal forces, but including the former rebel Viridians as well. Those who had changed sides explained that Amy's words had resonated with doubts they already harbored. The idea that there might be another way, besides the ancient pattern of dominance and submission, had taken root. A grand ceremony was held at the United Nations headquarters. Representatives from all Earth nations gathered alongside Viridians. The matriarch and Amy stood side by side as the treaty was signed. Today marks a new chapter in the history of both our peoples, the matriarch announced. Not just peace between us, but a new understanding of what civilization can be. One based not solely on power, but on mutual respect and cooperation. Amy looked out at the assembled delegates, human and Viridian together. The journey had been extraordinary. From a simple act of sharing food to reshaping interstellar relations. It seemed impossible. And yet it had happened. Later that evening, Amy stood with Talia on the balcony of the diplomatic residence watching the sunset. Still don't fully understand why my giving the matriarch food mattered so much. Amy confessed. Talia considered this. For my people, all interactions are based on power and status. She explained. Food-water territory, these are not shared, they are earned, partaken. That is our way for thousands of years. It is the way of the Krell as well. The idea that one might give freely to an enemy with no expectation of return, no requirement of submission. This was unknown. It challenged everything we believed about how the universe functions, and that was enough to change everything. Amy asked. Talia smiled, her galaxy eyes reflecting the sunset. Sometimes the most powerful ideas are the simplest ones, the ones that make us question our most basic assumptions. The matriarch joined them on the balcony. The treaty is complete, she said. All parties have signed, a new era begins. Amy looked at her. What happens now? The matriarch gazed at the darkening sky. The hard work begins, she said. Building trust, where there has been none, teaching cooperation to those who have only known competition, showing that this new way can succeed. And the Krell, Amy asked, they will return. The matriarch said, her voice grave. They cannot accept this change, it threatens everything they believe, but we will be ready. And perhaps in time they too might change. Amy touched the bracelet on her wrist. It still glowed with a soft pulse, almost like a heartbeat. All because I gave you my meal. The matriarch made that chiming sound that Amy now recognized as laughter. Small acts can have great consequences, Amy Collins. This is the way of the universe. 1 year later, Amy stood with Talia watching as the first joint Viridian human science vessel prepared to launch. The ship represented the best of both species, Viridian dimensional folding technology, combined with human adaptability and innovation. The crew was mixed. Human scientists and engineers working alongside Viridian specialists. What would once have been unthinkable was now reality. Admiral Moss, now promoted to oversee Earth Space Command, approached them. The ship looks good, she said. The first of many. Amy nodded. How are the defense preparations coming along? Moss replied. We're integrating Viridian shield technology with our weapon systems. The Krell won't find us so vulnerable next time. The matriarch joined them, her towering form now a familiar sight in human spaces. I have news, she announced. There are reports from our long-range scouts. The Krell appear to be facing internal conflict. Talia looked surprised. Conflict, how so? The matriarch gestured with her forearms. Some Krell factions question the old ways, just as some Viridians did. They have seen our alliance. They have witnessed our progress without conquest. It has planted seeds of doubt. Could they change as well? Amy asked. The matriarch considered this. Change is never impossible, merely difficult, sometimes exceedingly so, but it must always begin somewhere, with one act, one decision, one protein, bar perhaps.